Tan Namjuna, Zapin Panimala, the Shoni Jayak, the Tudere, Shoni Shopanyayak, the Zapin Panimala. The Nichiranto, she to some gom some Latin, Yamnes in Shopa, how Lanyala, Latin, Chetan, Parsin Tonani, Zungankela Toa, so then the China Baji Shopa, how Lanla Yading and Hintaban to yes.
So she said that, normally Saturday and Sunday are days to sleep in. They're days for enjoying sleeping. And so the fact that instead of sleeping in, you guys have decided to spend your weekend coming here, getting up early and coming, to engage in meditation, contemplation, or study contemplation and meditation, it really shows the true meaning of the perfection or the paramita of diligence, which is delighting in virtue, really taking joy in or enjoying the practice of virtue. And so that really makes her happy, and she's so grateful for your practice and your interest in Dharma, and thank you all for coming. So we can begin with opening prayers on page 5 of the prayer book. With all enemies who hate me, hinderers who harm me, and those who obstruct my liberation and omniscience foremost, may all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness, be free of suffering, and quickly attain precious, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. With all enemies who hate me, hinderers who harm me, and those who obstruct my liberation and omniscience foremost, may all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness, be free of suffering, and quickly attain precious, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. With all enemies who hate me, hinderers who harm me, and those who obstruct my liberation and omniscience foremost, may all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness, be free of suffering, and quickly attain precious, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. To this end I apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue until Buddhahood. I apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue until death. I apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue from today until this time tomorrow. All sentient beings equal to the ends of space take refuge in the nature of all the body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of those gone in the 10 directions and 3 times, the wellspring of the 84,000 heaps of Dharma, the sovereign of all the noble Sanghas, the glorious and holy, kind, root, and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the glorious and holy, kind, root, and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the assembly of deities in the Yidams Mandala. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the holy Dharmas. We take refuge in the noble Sanghas. We take refuge in the assembly of Viras, Dakinis, Dharma protectors, and guardians with the wisdom high. We take refuge in the glorious and holy kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the assembly of the Yeti's and the Yidam's mandala. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the holy dharmas. We take refuge in the noble sanghas. We take refuge in the assembly of Viras, Dakinis, Dharma protectors and guardians with the wisdom eye. We take refuge in the glorious and holy kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the assembly of deities in the Yidam's mandala. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the holy dharmas. We take refuge in the noble sanghas. We take refuge in the assembly of Viras, Dakinis, Dharma protectors and guardians with the wisdom eye. Till I reach the heart of awakening, I take refuge in the Buddhas all, in the Dharma and assembly of Bodhisattvas too I take refuge, just as all Sugatas of the past brought to birth the mind of awakening, and in each and every training of Bodhisattvas step by step did dwell, just so for the benefit of beings I to bring to birth awakened mind, and in each and every training thus step by step I'll train myself like so, till I reach the heart of awakening. I take refuge in the Buddhas all, in the Dharma and assembly of Bodhisattvas too I take refuge, just as all Sugatas of the past brought to birth the mind of awakening, and in each and every training of Bodhisattvas step by step did dwell, just so for the benefit of beings I to bring to birth awakened mind, and in each and every training thus step by step I'll train myself like so. In the Buddha, Dharma and assembly excellent, I take refuge till I come to full awakening, by the merit of my deeds like generosity. May I achieve Buddhahood for beings' benefit. In the Buddha, Dharma and assembly excellent, I take refuge till I come to full awakening, by the merit of my deeds like generosity. May I achieve Buddhahood for beings' benefit. In the Buddha, Dharma and assembly excellent, I take refuge till I come to full awakening, by the merit of my deeds like generosity. May I achieve Buddhahood for beings' benefit. May all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness free of suffering. May they abide in equanimity free of attachment and aversion to near and far. May all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness free of suffering. May they abide in equanimity free of attachment and aversion to near and far. May all mother sentient beings equal to space have happiness and the cause of happiness. May they be free of suffering and the cause of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness free of suffering. May they abide in equanimity free of attachment and aversion to near and far. By prostrating, offering, and confessing thus, by rejoicing, urging, supplicating to any little virtue that I have amassed, all I dedicate for full awakening. This ground daubed with fragrant water and with flowers strewn is adorned by Meru forelands and by sun and moon. Seeing this to be a Buddha field, I offer it. May all beings experience this utterly pure land. Om Guru Ratna Mandala Puja Mega Samudra Saparana Samaya Ahong. As befits the different wishes of sentient beings and their intellects, turn the Dharma wheel of vehicles, great and small and common, thus we pray.
Jedam Jejo Reda Jankarga Jada Garin Sonda Majeba Dredin Zava Namaramboch Gosa Gaba Jimbo Goneza Zayen Jusin Jana Barante Tatring Kaps Papala Zapimpa Nimara Tsama Nyayake Tuto Yinsan. Ani ta modra tang nang leka le tindijin jila chawon chayu jiri ten de dang botelang toke teisa kama sum saladini gom jaya ke tindije tsoje ji samsung ten de ta gom ja se ade ani chirtan jila chawren de loja khala ti chuni ya da gom jaya la tis kale khapo yori ten de tisa lulu chinetini den kan zopo yoba kon shipa na shike ani zopo de na la sem yoba sem solo le yang ma soba ani ngozo kazan kon ma po ji shu yore chamba da ninji kola ani tinde je sem lulu chin ani wok tone ke ta la gong shi ki jena ani wo ya tang ga de ni sanje da sanje samba zer karpo tingo le ya lepson sam de ni long zang ma da khau zang ma de so ya lepson sam ani ma tang we kala de ni so so la na cha da dong ge par je ta stress la ra na sem na ka le le dongar de so yu za cham na cha da dong ge cham Nabun number Madroson, some Tidichina, Moto Kamasum Salagom Janetini, Rambashine Kartan Nashi, Jula Majogayens.
So again, she says she just would like to acknowledge and express her gratitude for those of you who are choosing to use your Saturday and Sunday this way. When you have time off from work, to still get in your car and come here. And she said she would like to begin with just starting off settling the mind with a little bit of meditation. So we can take, 3 minutes or so just to settle in. because it can be helpful, first before we receive Dharma teachings to, take a moment to relax the body, to relax the mind, and to connect our mind with our body so that, we're here, our body is here and present on the cushion. But very often that can be the case and the mind is distracted. It's wandering, the mind is going outside. So it's not embodied, it's not connected with the body, the mind and the body together here, like present as we sit. And so she said to unite the mind with the body and to relax. Let's take a few minutes together in meditation. And you can meditate, in whatever way is most comfortable for you. Or, one method that might be helpful to sort of connect the attention to the breath is that you can visualize that when you breathe in, you're breathing in the blessings and compassion of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So on the in-breath, you can imagine like white light coming in and filling your body. And then as you breathe out, you can feel, imagine that you're releasing all of your stress, all of your difficulty and hardship, both mentally and physically, any sort of illness that might be, present in your body. You can think that you're sending, dispelling all of that in the form of sort of a dark light or dark sort of smoke. So we can visualize, that we're breathing in the light and we're breathing out kind of a like dark color that represents all of our difficulty and stress.
Migram je machine ani chamba da ni jinga na teni sopote make the lula pop ani the gom shinki na ya por gom machine ka she ka ya te kantra carbon number kantra number se ya turn to your sim ani gom machine ani chamba da ni jinga na simte make the sopote lula pop get said and data trang po chi ani the bomba dan la pa de lo la pa ani sem lo la pa ani the bonho de so ta kupja kan de na da sa kan ta ding kan de na de ka de na ni lo la pa tinde je ka ma som na tinde de na de res.
And so then for those of you who find it more difficult to visualize, you don't have to visualize this. You can just generate a mind of love and compassion and just rest there in that kind of meditative absorption of love and compassion, just filling the heart and mind with love and resting in that state. Because sometimes for some people, especially with maybe less experience with meditation, visualization can feel confusing. Like, wait, what do I do? And kind of it can create a little bit more concepts, possibly, and sort of can be less settling if we're trying to, do this mental visualization, in our meditation. For those who have a lot of experience with meditating, then it's easy, the visualization just is natural and easeful, and it doesn't, stir up thoughts or create more confusion. So if it feels that way, then you can drop the visualization and just rest in a mind of love. And the main thing is, that the spine is straight, that our shoulders are back, our chest is open. We're really allowing our body to settle on the cushion. If we're sitting on the cushion, that you bring your attention, down to where you're rooted, so that there's kind of a comfortable rooting on the cushion, and likewise in the chair, bring your attention to kind of the bottom part of your body and root your body there, root yourself there. And in that rooting, let your mind become settled too. Let your mind drop in and settle. The knees, in the sitting posture, your knees are kind of flat against the cushion and your buttocks slightly raised. And just allow for that sense of settling.
Thank you. Good meditation. Mind too much or the good. Okay. That begin at the Kartanti Nguyen and Drosin the Tanguy Drone Marite Joa Simti Tampang Ron Drotan, the Tanguy, so the Nguyen Manjite Kanjit and Drosin the Manjita to the years. And it tend to that short down things, sorry. But Chushinan.
So to continue or to pick up where we left off for the explanations in the text, so of course at the outset, like we have the we spoke the other day about the three excellences, so setting the pure intention of bodhicitta at the outset, which we've done with the opening prayers, and we have that in the structure of the text itself. There's the introduction with bodhicitta, refuge in bodhicitta, and then you have the main practice, and we went through in the main section or the main practice, you have both the white feast and the red feast, or the white offering and the red offering. And we went through already the white offering, and now we also started with the red offering. So we're picking up with the red offering. She thinks we are on page 14, she said, if you go to page 14.
Any Katan that the Sapa left the Karis white or the Ganjita Manji Niyang go match usually Sarpandua. Then the tampon gone meets at it, then that was like shut down, charter, rebuttal. So, it's a Kalekavoyori. And it then the Tajatanke. Mozo contordi che shishavana, Coranzo che topasaya chite. Gaisina Mozogas semde and it dordi pamochi and it lud jimbatayari. Chetan lud jimbataya chu changma lubjinri. Luk jimbataya. And it kashe Kazan Shulina shike pala pa jendan chamberlatin. Mikbachin Lujinchia, Kasheta, Nepata, so Dona Yan, Ju Chamber de Ju Taya, the so Yani Macona Tinja Semna Nasala, the Sola Yang, Junilan Chia. Then so good Trinity so Semde, Dorjan Namjamachi, and the Ludima, Lude Carasana, the Pongpo yora, semi but Pongpo de, and the Yajim Batayari. They did that Semke Golong Taya, Semke Takarilari, some no Taya Moto, Injimeji Sen, the Nishate, Soso Sen, Shate, Tate, Repate, and Red Maris. Motopen Medate Puana, Medate, Tony Zozek Medaris. Motoka Mikbachin Tatante, the Puson Moto. Mosoke, Tata Chiapu Mason, las Miram. Didn't in the Miram Tiaris, and also Danjik, Suso Tama, Gia Toma Mipani, Moto Danji Tiki, Danji Telatine, Nga Signete, Nga Pama, Nga Pincha, Nga Tropo, Nga Tromos, and Tinjit Danji Tiki, and in Koa Chamne, Tinjit Chedid, they Jude, and the Danji Nyong Tayatan. Da ramna danji pang tayak. Tashi gets all the terrace. Dortin Shishana, or the Jane Kona Bajeta, Nimba Yuzu, Tama Hako, Yang Safa, the Zogo, Ju Nyamni Chemanon, Kensa de Gandena, Nambat the Zoga, Mercy you said some sound of Jongari. Hamona.
So she said she recognizes that there are some new faces here today. So people who weren't here for the beginning of the teaching, she said, so we're picking up in a place that is kind of difficult to understand. That so you might not even be familiar with like the red offering, the white offering, and the red offering. So if we just go right into the red offering, it can feel really kind of strange if you don't understand what we're doing and kind of what the context is and everything. So she said, because here, what we're visualizing is offering like our body, the parts of our body, the flesh, the blood, the bones, all of that. So first of all, it's important to understand that at the beginning of the text, we separate, and this is all visualization, she said, it's just visualization. It's just a method. It's just a skillful method to counteract and diminish the mind of self-grasping and to cultivate love and compassion and generosity, a mind of generosity. So she said, we're visualizing our mind as Vajrayogini, and then as separate from the visualization of our body as like a, heap of parts. So we're offering our body, and that's what the practice of Chod always is. Chod involves practicing generosity, using the body as the object of generosity. We're as in visualization. And so there are different types of Chod, like she mentioned that there's a Chod that involves like using pieces of barley dough and kind of offering that sort of as ransom or representation of body. And then there's also like healing Chod, where people can lie down and then somebody plays Chod. It does the Chod practice. This is a way to heal different issues, and also that's particularly helpful, she said, for people who suffer from insomnia. And then there's the types of Chod that we're practicing here. There's a variety of different types of Chod. But here we're employing our visualization. We're visualizing our mind as Vajrayogini and our, like the aggregate of our body of form, as the object that we're visualizing, giving away and practicing generosity with. First that the body is transformed into nectar, and that's offered, and that's called the white offering. And here we have the red offering for, visualizing, for those beings who are more carnivorous and like to eat like flesh and blood and bones and so forth. So then we're offering those substances to those beings. But it's important to understand that we're not really doing this, that this is, that it's a visualization that is a skillful method for gathering the accumulations like we do with mandala. We offer a mandala as a, it's all based on visualization, and we're gathering, it's a means to gather the accumulation. And here we're using the body essentially as our mandala offering, and it has the same function of gathering the accumulations, purifying obscurations, and in particular counteracting that mind of strong self-grasping, which has been the root of all of our suffering for all of these countless eons wandering in cyclic existence since beginningless time. It is, the mind of self-grasping, this thought of like I, and this fierce sort of identification with and protection of the sense of self, and then all those things that we kind of attribute to having, supporting our identity and our loved ones, our friends, our parents, and so forth. And so this mind of strong attachment to ourself and those that we have like a attachment to, and aversion to anything that is conceived of as other or perceived as a threat to, the well-being of the self. And so it's good to so she just wanted to give this background to those of you who are maybe just coming today for the first time, that we've been talking a lot about, what kind of what this practice consists of as a whole.
Then to attack Karze Marzella on Mukna Nola Yoris, Kashe Karze Gaoyori, Kashe Marze Gaoyori, any then to Marze de Tangosoke Tata. The young Otoka Lushataka Jimbataya, Otoka Namju Melatogona, Mukashe Shala Pegaoyora, Dina Shige, and Marzeket and Jimbataya, and Nika Garpote, Motoka Pe Lanchana, and Nikarzeket Jimbataya, or Tinjeri. Then do that the Jimbataya, the Changma, the Karesna, Motoka. Hla gomne eni penna hla che gomde na hla te ta ngoso kan jau karan che gomde wa na eni te ke so ke nga sin jimba de jang ro yore jimba de chung ro yore de ndi ta ta ngoso ke yu ba de ni la pa ke ngoso tre ma tan sem ke kon no ta ne tin je jimba tang sha wa na de ni sam ji ma cha ke pin sam ji ma cha pe yore. Then the main Karze Kashe go, Karze Kashe Marze go, then the Flagoyatel, Monegina, Laje Gomna, Labja song yorde, La Don Dramada, Don Dramada Yori, Mozo to blow in the main, to blow Dramada go yore, Kashe Maho go, Kashe Nabo go, then Sanjes in the town care to the chimbo and then Dramada. Jimbataya, any date jansi, and down, but a tap number not so by yours.
So, some people have a kind of preference for the white piece, some have a preference for the red piece. So it's sort of a matter of inclination and, what kind of one is more drawn to one more than the other. But mainly, and likewise, there's differences. There, like the different beings that are also receiving, through our visualization, these different types of feasts or offerings based on their inclination. So just like we know, some people are carnivorous, they like to eat meat. Some people are vegetarian, they don't want to eat meat. And so there's kind of the different inclinations and dispositions, of different beings. And so it's... when we practice this, when we visualize this offering, we're doing it much in the same way that we do when we visualize the deity, and that it's important that there is this kind of illusory nature in the visualization, that we acknowledge that it's like rainbow light, that it's like a clearly appearing but empty in essence. And the power is really in the visualization. We're practicing generosity with our mind, and the result of that is the diminishment of our grasping, and this becomes very powerful. So even though we might not be actually giving the substance, through our visualization, based on the power of our mind, the power of our intention, then the benefit can be extraordinarily vast, really inconceivable in its power and its reach. So this is really a mental practice. It's something that, that's entirely based on visualization, but can be very powerful when done properly. And it is, just like, for instance, there are all of these different deities, right? So many different deities. They're all different colors. They have different, attributes and implements. And these all kind of fit there's something for everyone. In other words, it's because, due to the diverse kind of inclinations and dispositions of beings, it's just like, we have preference with clothing. Some people like, red color best. Some people like, blue color best, or, there's kind of, we're drawn to different things. And so it's the same way with these practices. The Buddha, in his great compassion, manifests there are so many methods to suit the needs and inclinations of beings. And so there are actually so many different methods that we have in the Buddha Dharma to cultivate this beautiful quality of generosity. So there's so many methods, and this is one of these methods.
Okay, that the gone Dordije Karisna Sarvata Dordije Shure that in young and Mando is show that Pivian.
So now, just having given a little bit of background to those of you who are newly arriving, then she'll just continue picking up in the text on page 14.
Ni pexita di tangbo di karesna pegde kartan tundan shutari chin de sonna lunda bersta chi dena peb de tang so ke tangra de sonna lunden bers sa shazo jogen chuban berda sa shazo jo sina ani kangba tang la kangba ni changko de so chuban bergins Nika parasindos in that parsinto jimba chutrum zuba something that's a tongue Koreans are the top.
So we're picking up at the bottom of page 14 at the last line. So it says, pay to you to you who have gathered here, I offer my body. I offer the 6 outer parts of my body. And so this is the 6, referring to kind of the different sections of the 2 legs, the 2 arms, the head, and the torso. And then it says, may I realize the 6 perfections. So the idea is that through this offering of the body, that we cultivate the 6 perfections of generosity, ethical discipline, patience, diligence, meditative concentration, and wisdom.
And then Nancha Pugan Chuban, but she let down the sons and Jordan. She le part the time. Nancha Pugate. Yena Changmam do. That Nancha Pugate, that there, Chetanke, Loate, Perlab the Karesna. Motohima Germany Neptu Marchi could Drogona Pugger your Zedolas. That is Nora Pugger. Drogona Pugger Yomara. Pugger, Tugugo. That guys in that then Nordolas and then did Marin Drogona Sankona the Pugger Yori Layo Mares. Kaisina that Loate Chele. Leka chinki. Oto penna semga san lud jongro chele zo de semga chigiring zo. Leka chinki zo semga chelo de deni lud jongro yora yoko nashi. Di nashi ke loate ne chele zo de wok tonne ke. Tanga khajelanda loala nasa do la zo de wok ton ya kale kabon. O di nashi ke ta loate chele zo chesa Walkers, dead. Need Nacha Pugata, Rere, Yende Yan Chuba, Jayari, Jimbataya. Any Ning de Zakpa, Zachelet, Jessa, so the Ning. Need Serpa de, the need Cha zo Yongsa de, Serpa. And then Chimba de Shan Jongsan Jongkonte, Serpares. Karma de Milan that de Pajerang Hijamari Milan Karma Nashi na chila na che yore do te la mi la gare do
So
de
karma sina kema ro.
kema ya
Mhm.
kema na
Got it.
shiri sonne nyam ni yo mari
Mhm.
zamza di shana yor on de karma de mi ke paris mi de karma yongsan mi de yonggares poa de juris jusina tang so ke nam ju la gara khala sa du chele zo ta nyek sinki de ani ya poa ya po mina ni 조고 부야다 되니 칼라 마사 마타바 야조야 데서 참마 용사데 포아레스 롱카데 세게 퍼스니 롱카데 조 록사데 센드로사케 모토가 마 칼라사데 센드로사데 롱카레스
Nunca. Okay.
디나 참마데 메도
Rere yene yang ming ta yo marwa.
야 야데
De hako
데
so.
오데 데 칼마리
So de rimba shindu de aloa ning.
데 참마
Gare dit serba reve serba. Or
De-
chimba di chimba
침바레
rewa.
침바
Di
데 포아
poa. Di kema.
데 칼마리
Di
데 주마 다 주마라 데요레 karpotan na
Dini
poni
serba ganda yemba yabo ko.
serpa la na ya lo na hi chan jar de lebleb che yore dina na to nga de ma to ma do go ma do
Hale.
ma te de
Dini kale kapoti to yo marwa.
am che na ha ko re nga so de na ha ko re
Laso.
dini joker cher de pesi juma karpote chi yong sa ka zo re chi la na fetch
Mhm.
karpo che yo de joker ni yong sa
Yeah.
zo re ni jona de chosar ta jona ke jima na pote ke sele de chosar
Mhm.
yong sa res
Mhm.
o te ke ta de so chang ma de ni ngo so ke re ye ne ta do nga no ro de chu pam ber jim ba ta ya
Chi ni sum je nya do dun je gu che la gyo. Powa gi je la gare.
kare
Powa tonka do che gare sum.
po ju ji pu
Powa je la gare do.
longka
Lonka ko do.
longka la na ta tambo khala ro sa ke ma de le longka la gar khala ma de ni me pa ni dro de ni longka dro de ni ma te kare le po ro Lonka-
Anatomy.
lonka
What when we have when the
longka sele zo de se loksak
uh-huh.
kaze loksak so
Inang powa mayemba.
po de ju
Yeah.
dan hek sinki jingba dang zo wa ne dan hek sinki po la ya po min na de ni po ga ngo so la da am che de chirang khala je sa wa na so ya po ja go res so ya po ma ji na ni po ga ju ma res po ma ji na ni po ga na zo ba dan jingba ni dan hek se to go ma re la o di na shi ga da kran ju se le je
So what when we like there's we swallow right in the throat and then what is there before the food gets into the stomach? Maybe it's the esophagus. Okay, maybe we'll just say it's the esophagus. I'm not entirely sure, but no, it's probably lower.
Tell me pala ra me pa.
Yeah, she said that's the
Jingbala
throat.
ka ye kan jingbala te sa. Ten ma ni sa te me pala. Te ka.
Well, or
Kare
we
ke
can
ja timbe.
Garela?
Kare ke ja timbe.
De lonka gain sene chigi de poa gi malebne gi ngona dangpo de
Se-
mipa la dro.
se
teni
rosa.
poa- Se.
Se ke ju se ju le sa. Ani poa te ke dan hek sinki poa ke.
Poa hako song.
Yeah.
Hina lonka tesa
Dangpo
hako. Lonka gi
ju-
dacha gande do lonka.
Longka takja.
Teni de sigso la tana
Te
la
linde.
borwa. She
La
thinks it's the esophagus, but you know what?
La-
I'm gonna look up the Tibetan word and then we're gonna know for sure.
je tang ke ta te so ma takja ma so na ke ma re kare sna. O nan chur de changma ti Jera. Mikpa Jera Mato in Jimmy Shigoya.
So it's not
Thank
so
you.
important, she said. You know, we're just like kind of, you know, trying to visualize in general. So if we don't do the perfect thing, it's fine.
Longpa Kuju
What's that? Oh, yeah, it might be. I mean, I'm curious at this point. So, no, she can't find it, or she's not sure about the spelling. Yarek, do you have any idea? Okay. Let me see esophagus, or what is, how do you spell it's the larynx, or what? Pharynx. How do you spell that?
It is the
chewa sulpa di marwa.
Not
that one. She said it doesn't matter. The esophagus is the word she uses for throat, so it's not that one either. Anyway, she said it doesn't matter. We're just doing visualization, so it's okay if we don't know exactly what this is.
Jima Tonyo to say, ya, make patch in Jimba Tango Sandilam. O Tina Lonka the Seg, Cesarisha, the Joker, the Silk, Resha, Nupachin Kiri, then the Kale Capore.
Yeah, so she said, you know, this is just to have a general idea, but like, because also when I translate what she said, you'll see that she's talking about the functions of each of these organs too. And she said, but you know, actually it's not like that's really needed to understand, you know, or to do the practice, like if we were sort of visualizing all of this one by one and then like knowing what their different functions and such are, that would kind of be difficult in the context of what we're doing here with the visualization, but it's just to kind of give us a broader understanding of these different aspects of the body or the organs. So anyway, she said it's not so important if we don't know exactly what some of them are. So she said then, you know, we say we make the offering of the 9 inner holes. So this is what is interesting, is that this is translated completely differently from how she is explaining it. So she's not explaining it as the holes. Here it's explained Dilla yang pe kakate yorwa de nangla bugu gu ditso pena make ni amcho ni now o ni ka yang de gu yorwa go yorwa temare. So she said that's not actually what this is referring to. So this is a mistake how it is actually translated here. Yeah, so she said, and that, you know, how would that work? Because it says inner, the inner, inside, it's referring to inside the body. So these openings, the orifices of the body, are external. So so that's not what it's referring to here. She said, and the way that actually you translate this literally is actually like the 9 children. And so it's talking about this relational kind of connection between organs that she kind of explained. So for instance, and then at one point she said she explained this in another context, and they and people were really sort of tripped up about this terminology about like the children, but what it's referring to is that it's sort of like the example is that of the mind and the body. So the mind is like the parent to the body is like whatever the mind says, the body will do it. So it's like, you know, the body is serving the body, is servant to the body. So you also have this similar when it comes to understanding medicine and illness and the different functions of the body. There's kind of this similar relational quality where you have these 9 kind of parents and children, being that there's the lungs, which are like the parent to, but actually it sounded like she was saying the opposite, that the lungs are like the child of the breath. Tene de loa pugure abare. Yena.
Pugu ta aba kaya mare. That's a tama notary. Kaya is in the loat, vogue tone chia, chele, chiri lemato, paria, palare, amare layo mares.
Yenia de la pugu la yorachi.
Coranzo nore that pugulayade. Nancha pugula, that coranzo pala.
Okay, so let's forget about that language about parent and child. Anyway, you have the lungs, which are doing the function, or which are kind of governing the function of breathing, of breath. And then you have the heart, which is governing, or that which is kind of very much connected with the network of channels or veins in the body, right? And then you have Serpa. Do you know maybe Lyric Serpa? Is that like spleen or? Yeah. So the Serpa, which maybe you guys will know medically speaking what is connected with blood. I think it's something like the spleen or the pancreas. Let's see if we can see just what it is in the. No, because there's another word for liver, which comes next. Serpa. What's that? No, because kidneys comes next too. Yeah. Yeah. It could be. Yeah.
Chirpa.
I think it might be the pancreas because
Fat.
Oh, it says fat. So that's, but I don't think that's right because I'm going to see what pancreas is because yeah, it's not pancreas. She said the so I bet it's lymph. I bet you're right about that. Chutsang? No, but that's not it either. Let's see what the. It could be the gall. No, it's the spleen. It's spleen. I found it. Diksong.
Okay.
She said blood. So it's so the spleen is connected with the production, I guess, of blood, at least in Tibetan medicine, or in like the Tibetan medical system. And then the liver, she said, is connected with flesh, with meat, or the meat or flesh of the body, and then the kidneys, she said, with medicine. So I don't know what she means exactly in that context, but min, dinidi, karmala, min.
Min.
Sena?
Min dodo jayor tate sel korang karma jongsane.
So I think that might be sorry, I do not know what these medical things are. But anyway, we'll later during the break, she and I will get it clear and we'll fix what's not clear. I'm not sure what it is that with the kidneys, and then the stomach. With nutrition, so it's like governs the process of like the body sort of extracting nutrition and then separating out the waste, and then the longa, which is that thing that I'm not so sure what that is, which also has some connection with sustenance or the digestion of food, and then what they call the white colon, or what do we call it? There's the large intestine, small intestine. Yeah, thank you. So there's the white intestine and the black intestine. So the white intestine is more connected with fat, or sort of the production, I guess, of fat, and the black intestine with, I think, lymph, or chuser, which is literally like snot. So I think it might be more like mucus or lymph. Yeah. Phlegm. Thank you. Phlegm. Yeah, the gallbladder. So I bet it's one of those. Maybe the lonka is the gallbladder, because that would kind of make sense, maybe. But we're going to figure it out, and then we're going to clarify that in the break.
And it tikbarum go topar hyosita koransola lu jimba tanya tanteni ya tan changma jimba tanya remato redoas then tikbarum ba gote Nitur Ranger Sansim Jaju Juju Namjerla Namibaju Maha Anna Atta. That is a Tangma Koransola top short. Don't hang in Chuban Berta, Tata Nashiri, Tata the Puga Mariti Nacha Puga Chasa, that ought the Dunhinga, that don't hang out the young Yang the law Chimba Serpent Karma.
Loa Chimba Serpa Karma.
Yeah, thing out it. What is all Chuban Bersi Koransola? And you Gunga Ishi, Topar Shosit, Chuko, the longer choker, one go, and you major dodgico. What is all? In the Koranza Topar Shosit, and that same mirror remato, and Jimmy Jeta, Motok Gom, Tangaranka Dreshi Tata Jandu, Mamma Jabranja Chadir, Nakama lawyer Chipo Mara, Dreshi Jayari, then the Lagomat. Tam Miram Jedu, Tindri Ship Papi Kale Kabore. Yinaya, Nanyan Naloli Yubatasota, Donga Noto, Nacha Pogotis, Ya Korans of Trehe, some. Then Zopo Shada Tradas, desert in the Korans of Trehe, some Tindri Mipatia mother. Oh, that's Ele Teresha, Tindri, the Depe Kale Kabores. There's a go Mari.
That's all. So then it says, so we offer these 9 kind of, these 9 organs, and then it says, may I realize the 9 yanas. So it's connecting these different parts of the body that we're offering with, the kind of dharma, the attainments that kind of come from this offering. So it says through this there's the 9. So may I realize the 9 vehicles, the 9 yanas. May I traverse the 9 yanas. So the 9 yanas here being the vehicles or yanas of first Shravakas, Pratyekya Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, and then the 4 classes of Tantra, Kriya Tantra, Charya Tantra, Yoga Tantra, Anuttara Yoga Tantra, and then the 3 of Maha, Anu, and Ati. So those are the 9 vehicles, and then it says, I make offerings of the 5 inner organs. So again, there's the main, there's this sort of division of classification of the 9. There's also the principal organs that are usually spoken of as being a group of 5, and so that's the heart, the lungs, the liver, what did I say that it was? The spleen and the kidneys. And so then, and then that, it says, in connection with those 5, it says, may I realize the 5 wisdoms and the 5 kayas. So the 5 wisdoms being the purified essence of the 5 afflictive emotions, so the 5 wisdoms of the 5 Buddha families, and the 5 kayas, referring to the Dharma kaya, the Sambhoga kaya, the Nirmana kaya, the Svabhavika kaya, and then sometimes was spoken of as a 5th is the Vajra kaya. or the Vajra body. And so, again, these are all of these different organs, these different kind of details of what we're offering in this offering of our body. She said, it's just to kind of, here right now, she's going through the explanation, so she's explaining each one, but when she's actually doing the practice, it's just a general sense. It's not like we have to be really clear, oh, there's the spleen and it looks like this and this is what it does, and we're adding that to the, to the heap of what we're offering. But it's just kind of a general sense, of all these different parts of the body, the inner organs, the outer limbs, all of that. So it's a general sense that we're and then we have in mind as we do this visualization.
Penna gompaina tangpo tela penna jipchon dorjenam jemache gongkona ta khatang ta drogo ta thopa to gupa jimchi kante yimi ha koson jola na ha koson jola teni soso ke jau karan yichi samno tang de la mato to mampo che tela o yan cha o ta ti khatang de kante tho teni Tuba the content to Trago the content the chin some that the content of it. Tindy some of Shida Tangamara. What did not he get that Chuban Paria the Hakogori? Kansina Sosoka, look at Jimba Tang de need the some of Gonon Tang. Any chan he did any young Tang Mashi Majena, young Jamba the Ninja on the Simchin Roar dogs, Simchi Tamtilla, Nyawak Sadanga Donga, Yada Tricom Donga. Nene Tundola Korchu Donga, any Malachiga Namchi Donga, La Taptuga Don, La the Lamina Taptu Donga, any Lala Chapotonze Donga, the day you buy and do, they need to tell on Soka, the Jimba Tankayu, in the Miram Jenna, any Chamba the Ninja Gomde and the Koranza Be Pingari, Mota Gono Zambo and the Denis Semde Moto Rasam Sanje in Pangoma, Sem de Sanje on the day and the Koranza la Pin, Naranza la Pizama, Yam the Dunda Yores. You there a chick body, Jimbata, Miram Chia, the Lagon, the Miram Chia, the Chick Jetan Hakoson, Chipachi Jares.
So it's sort of like we can think of it as like how we approach, for instance, the generation stage when we're part of the practice. An important part of the practice is the recollection of purity regarding all of the different attributes of the deity's form and knowing what all those things mean, what they all represent. So like with Vajrayogini, for instance, we go through a process of understanding, all of the different aspects, attributes of the deity's form. The Katvanga is this, the skull cup, and the, Drikung is this, and there's the reasoning or the symbolic meaning behind all of them. But then after we know that, when we learn that, that's just there in our kind of natural, spontaneous understanding of what those different attributes are, but it's not like we think about that or think about them when we're visualizing the deity. They just come and the all of the aspects of the deity's form just shine forth, and then because that understanding is there, it's present, but it's not something that we have to think about. And we just start focusing, we're visualizing the deity's form like rainbow light, like a rainbow appearing in the sky. But we're not like, oh, there's the Katvanga and it means this, or this aspect which means that. And so here, first we go through the text, we familiarize ourselves with the meaning, but then when we're doing the practice, it's really just the main focus is inwardly our mind of generosity that we're offering. We're doing this practice of offering with a pure motivation, with primarily love and compassion for beings, and with the knowledge, same thing, we go through all of the different specific types of suffering in the different realms experienced by the beings there, that in the hell realms primarily there's the suffering of extreme heat and cold, and the realm of hungry ghosts primarily the suffering of hunger, extreme hunger and thirst, and the animal realms, the suffering of fear and kind of mental darkness and kind of being powerless. And then for the humans, the suffering of birth, old age, sickness, and death. For the demigods, primarily the suffering of jealousy and fighting. And for the gods, primarily the suffering of transition and falling to lower rebirth. So we go through all of these, and then there's just this general sense of the suffering of all the different beings of the six realms. And again, our emphasis as we practice is the heart of compassion, of love and generosity, and wanting to the mind that is giving, and wanting to clear away the suffering of beings. And so it isn't, we don't have to be so detailed as we practice in our recognition of like each and every detail of all of the different components that are involved in our visualization. But by going through, through studying and receiving these instructions, then having that knowledge later, it just sort of naturally comes together as part of the practice. And so... And so a lot of these practices are very much the same. She said we are all Buddhas. It's just that we don't recognize that essence because of the presence of the obscurations. And so all of these practices are methods to bring us closer to that recognition of our true nature.
Ani tati pechana de nanji si per landesi ta ngoso nawa kasheke che yusari samte der nawa lakore tede nanji si per lande ta ne ringpa no de koranso tetsu yuna ani chiranso lompa je sarochi ta tetsu me baina ani zon tetsu yuna goda tetsu mina ani lompa je sarochi ani tetsu mina tetsu yuna ani zon saroji tat teso ngone di ngozo bube kala and cheje kala and chikpa dida ani chazi jabda tere de sha sanki de so ta de pecha de zo de jongsa bu ni zang ani bu ge sadan ta nepso ba ge sadan yang kari da ta nepso ba ge sadan ka zum ne be ndrwal na shi nga ngema samso nga yorab chade wow moto gelong tante so gelong mate so kala satang na chabda de chobda hoda ma chosong yora dina shin so pal ngono gelong mate so yo marete yina satang tindi ya ko kante do sangarang del pe gawa chimbolo so moso zam kale yore de chabda ma bi lan yang chala hon lan stangra 어디나 있다 티 페차데 또 손 소바 오늘 히라 사탕 자통다 빼야 보여래 다 아시야레 부바다 아시야데네 칼라선 잡다던 통노 허다 다데 페차데 또다 남바데 불다데 데네 부베즈네다 샤지 잡다더레 잡시 찬통 허르스다 무소 자통 무소 언드르치는 본 난 게도아 단 들바나 때 맞춰 송라 어디나 히다 냅서바가 다 많이 바데 다 부베 라마타 진삼 텐디니 지게도스 르마 소다 탈라스다 르바제 머바나 네 까까까 라라 데니 깐동 라와 쳄스다 깡나 수고나나 제 요리 저랑 시해진 부반 남자 대자 지제는 대나 파처 신도 코 말이 아니 집에 개모셔다 코란서 뭐저게 뺀나 뺀로 차연 존제 보나 콜라 차야 당 통야데 빼 지랑 산ing하게 칼라소인 신고 이치낭 페쇼스 tape kare gogo chena drone de gagra tapena san drone de pena tela kala mate saninge kala zoin mate na kola ta ngone ke kanga yora tendu koranta ti kare na chip ke mo share recipe de mo shor nene gavel lencher tang so party na shiri party tande tene ye tan shabro ja tende chere tapu ke data ta tende yang top tang a tan yun jo lande je da so yang ki ke tende thau cheres khotu ya do jarbes ta khotu de ya do jarbun de ta so sos come madu simo ken de ta sos ki pa na si lande so sta na si lai de Usari something nang dele mato ngupon tong matable de na yesi perlande.
So then the text continues. It says, those of you who are in a hurry, just eat the flesh raw, eat raw flesh. Those of you who are not in a hurry, eat these offerings after being cooked. So it's sort of like those who are in a hurry, who just like raw flesh, eat raw flesh. Those who are not in a hurry and like to cook it first, just like we cook food, you can cook it first and then eat it. And then it says, making the chewing sound of diriri, the sound of drinking blood, hororo. So she said, it's not like, so these the wrathful and also the idea of really relishing what you're eating and drinking, then there's like sound associated with that. So she said, it's interesting because in the Vinaya, there are these rules about eating and not making sounds, so you're not supposed to slurp your drink or your soup. You're not supposed to smack or like make chewing noises. And she said, so in Tibet, and she said she thinks actually in Asia in general, that sounds when you eat are considered to be a good thing. So like there's a lot of slurping, a lot of smacking, a lot of like expressive eating that is kind of typical in Tibet. But she was kind of amazed when she first went to Europe and everyone was so quiet when they eat. And she thought, oh wow, they're not like monks and nuns, but they're like following the Vinaya. They're really like, doing eating food, in the way that we're taught we're supposed to. But the Tibetan, and even though she said, there are those rules as a nun, because the cultural conditioning is so strong, she finds herself, just it's so automatic. She said, they went and she demonstrated when they drink tea, they make a sound, the slurping sound when they drink. And she said that just kind of comes naturally. But she was really impressed and thinks it's great, that we have these kind of customs of, decorum, I guess, when we eat, that we do it in a way that is kind of, more not making so many noises, but these beings are going to be making the noises for sure. So she said, that is part of, so she said, chewing. So when you're making the chewing sound, crunching the bones and making, as you chew, and slurping the blood as you drink, and making, the sound of sucking the marrow from the bones, gypsy jip is how it says here. But so she said that she doesn't think we eat much marrow in the West, maybe, but like in Tibet, that's the tastiest part, is when you suck out the marrow from the bones. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, so and then it says, so then it goes on, it says, making the pleasing sound, sharara, and singing songs, kyururu, making the wrathful sound of taksetak. So here it's like you're imagining all of these beings coming and partaking of your offering in this great, pleasurable, ecstatic state of enjoyment. They're having a party, it's like and they're dancing and they're singing and they're enjoying themselves and they're just like relishing this wonderful, delicious food that you've given them. And, just like when we all, get together and enjoy good food and sing and dance, she said this is definitely how, a lot of party and community that happens around food, and then also, singing and dancing and making the wrathful sound of sort of clucking their tongues, or that's sort of a wrathful sound of clicking the tongue, so the wrathful sound of talk, and so on. Mm-hmm.
And then that the chisha judo land so that any gone drea the chipari here the machine resari. Kandela share the chomda. Any parsha some party land is a parsha lanata, shatter repa parolo ni parshara, landisos, nanter mean petuses of spare, nangeta, nang la sha you just mean pope, jedun chung the sarotis.
Tinidi gare de la sopa pena gyalpo du gyalpo la sopa digi kor la sumyo samera.
Kawa.
Denda kok to ya du gyalpo zo dene kok me.
Yeah, gunda. That the jipe kemo shore and go. Okay. Kok to ya du gyalpo sita, jela yang ya du zonasara, she maritang to conject some me. Tiranzo she kale kapur naranga she me.
Okay, that's
Tomam nyonda. Nang nyong, Chenda yor is a boo chung chung to hear. Tao yor lasso, usually some doesn't know some. Yeah, did you come him, Madu Simus of Sistine, Simotas of Sass, keep out Nancy landed saucy. That keep out the so 90 sip landed of Sarotis. This Sasha wrote the Mahian resort. Parsha some to parties, Sasha wrote the Taticom Drotara. Parsha some party landed sauce. Nanter me petunces at me po, chung dre chung to the sauce. Chipa sip and drink at that in chipa to your lime. The lots and chipa and the yoris, the son drake sauce. Ni karma sola danger society, ni karma ni you just the sola danger society, Dehradun to your sauce. Cherpa year dichapos, cherpas ni the tata. Chat law, chat so young said cherpari love song. They year that, then the mercy, kawan do tando get in the sauce. Loa pinchi jata pinchon to sitini, Loa sanki chia than chunga to the sarotis. That there comes a shoe. Nyamni je machine can tire, Nyamni je at any pe. Motoko Jimbata and a pekale cup chipo yores.
So, tini yang te jela bar sang chege. Chu logara. Tini chu. So it says the upper part of the body may be eaten by the demon Yadu Gyalpo. So she said these are here. We also have a lot of different spirits or demons that are mentioned. And she said, she doesn't know exactly who this demon is or what it is. She said she hasn't ever seen it. But like definitely all these names she's heard, and she remembers, as a kid, they were always scared. Like, oh, there's the, demon Yadu Gyalpo. And it was sort of like, oh yeah, it's this scary thing, right? We don't know what this demon is, but she can't say much more than just that, there's that kind of general idea about them. The lower of the part of the body may be eaten by the female demon Madhu Simmo, same type of thing. The waist may be eaten by the demons of the world. So it's like in general here actually it says the gods and demons or the different classes of spirits and so forth can eat the waist. The 6 outer parts of the body may be eaten by the outer demons. Actually, again, yeah, so this is, remember she mentioned like the 6 parts of like the torso, the head, the limbs, the arms and the legs, and then the 9 inner holes, which again is not the correct translation, but the 9 inner organs that she went through are eaten by the 9 inner demons. The 3 middle flesh, so those in between, so there's like these layers of flesh, in the body, and there's the flesh that's kind of in between the outer layer and the innermost layer of flesh. And so that's what that's referring to, eaten by the kind of middle demons. The inner organs may be eaten by the Chungsi demons. The liver may be eaten by the 9 demons of samsara. The kidneys eaten by the demons Tsukla, Donchu, and so on. And it continues on here. And she said, when, for those who are, interesting. Here it says Serpa, which I think I saw as spleen. Here it says pancreas. May the pancreas be eaten by the demons of the country. And it goes on. So it's kind of talking about all these different parts of the body, and then all of these different types of spirits that dwell, in the environment, different kinds of beings. She said, for those who are not really familiar with practice, this can be unnerving. This section can feel kind of unnerving. She said, for those of us who really know how to practice, it's really wonderful, because there's this feeling of just like complete openness and generosity and compassion that extends to every being. So we can take a break here. Dini gari de jutsu chuchik dang cheka lep yangna de karma chunga gari gasare sumchu chuna. So we can take a break for about 15 minutes or so. I think it's on page 27. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we have good news. The Chod drums have arrived, and so they arrived to Kimpo Monlams, and they will be bringing the Chod drums in the afternoon. So anybody who wanted to buy one, they're already here. Yeah. Ah, excellent. Thank you, Ben. So in the store? Yeah, okay. Oh, very good. Yeah, thank you. Okay. So for the people who prepaid, they are there for you.
then I'll look to this and be thankful, so grateful every time. So bad that some positions will just send it into like a full blown cramp. And I had one of those a week and a half. Still like
That's actually rising. He's so scary. I mean, you're so bad.
I was like with a friend in a tent and I was like help me.
Bejer Sado Samaya Manipalaya Bejer Sado Tinoba Didandano Membawa Sodakayo Membawa Sodakayo Memba Anarado Membawa Savaside Mindrayanta Savagama Sazame Tadamshire Koro Hong Ha Ha Ho Bangavan Savadadangadam Beja Bidarba Samaya Sado.
So unfortunately, we did not get very much clarity in trying to look up what these things were. But it's possible that the one that one of them is actually a part of the upper intestine that just is a different classification that we don't have in English. Mm-hmm. She showed us a picture, and I think I'm not great with anatomy. I mean, the large intestine's smaller, right, and it kind of goes around the large intestine is large because it's longer. Well, one of them in the picture she showed us, one is actually black and one is actually white. So then I think that's the large intestine. It's wider. And then the small intestine is longer and thinner. Yeah, so that's the white intestine. Gongta. Interruption.
아니 다다다 공니 쉬시네 다 철바 토사 철바 연지 참보서시다 철바 연지란 제데서다 메세야다 તવ્યા તે소લન કાસા કાન 참라는 로데기 무슨 참찬 돌아라 참찬 로데 리 손점 가와르나 참찬 돌아라 어디네 되네 어디네 로차쇼 신반 머랭 범제서시다 신발은 남주
Dini loa gande loa
로아데 다tin
bamchin
빈친자다 빈총송
tigare.
치아다 총아 이제 치아다 총아다 속소스 아니 신발은 어서 심지 생기라 신발라 그래 진짜 라그래 심지 생기지 가가리요래 수속 수그 말이 아니 심지 생기지 텔라 무나오테 아니 코란스세 아니 tisota de 심지 생
Shimba tata yang
신바도 속에 다 가르치는 신바도 지랑서 대추 유바 남제 아니 사로지스 신바는 심지 생기
miring gande miring boomgi.
메렌 대추 유바 남제 밤라는 다 신바라 장망보 유바 찍지랑제 제나 찍지랑제 많이 봐 지랑서 그 사로지스
Ti yang norio sare de gyurgi ora shimba yang nangla denda juba do denda che yopa nangshin ti ora shimba zewa che.
신바
Ini yang shimba denda de simchin seken rawa.
야
Tini simchin seken
가르치다 되네
de la shimba de so nangla shimba yoba. Tini shimba yang de la de che la de che miring boom ming yojo shimba zagi yore la yore.
하나 제지는 된데 해야지 나 놓고지 대 등다데 하고마서
La so.
나랑 그때 가르삼는 코र्स나 신발은 심지 생기다 다다 제도서 뭐서가 짐바 땅가 요라 근데 신발은 것도 독자래 심지 생기나 독자리 마도 약보치 말이 득바만 보사 되게 근데 림파 남제 머랭 신나다 또 유바 남제 지란속에 범제서 빼만 보사로 지스 로 차르신다 로아라 차르신나 fat 야메나 fat라 karpoche yore chi sema budong tan sema budong sema tojang kiteso todan nibayong kitesos pakpa loda tini pakpa te ani loda sada de sos mozo pakpa na chayong na pakpa na chayong na tini lok no ba zo che chagri ni de pakpa loda sada chamjerje 지진 다다딩아 노르살 코란소 가레 람다시 나로 메인 가레
De shimba yang pina chimba dang loa la sopa ming ta yorwa. Then shimba chik shimba zewa ge ming chik yojo yimba nangshin yinang buke rang la yorwa. De shimba
지진은 다캬 노르살 되네
Norian sigerwa.
맞아 난털 된데 신발라야 제요 말에
Tago.
신발 메렌 범졌어
So this is just like a really tricky section kind of the text, because even she said, so the way she is
신발
shimba. So it says, anyway, picking up, so it says the pancreas or the spleen, we had decided was the definition of the right definition, may be eaten by the demons of the country. So the word in Tibetan is literally by roamers. So those spirits who like roam throughout the land. And the lungs may be eaten by, actually there are two, rather than, it says gya, bone demons, but here there's two types, like gya and bone. So it's like and literally means like kind of big and small, actually, jia dang chung, bon chung. So she said, referring to kind of like smaller and bigger spirit beings. And then here, the shimba may be eaten by miringbum. So she said she's not entirely sure what this line means. And actually, she thought, because shimba in Tibetan is the word for butcher. And there's not... Yeah, so it is the spelling of it is like butcher. So she, and I wasn't quite understanding how she was interpreting it, but something like Tadung yapo koma song shimba miring sena.
Shimba deso miring lan tutu shidami ba.
Miring can also mean like there's not much time. It's translated it as the name of a being, as a demon here, called Miring Boom. And Boom Gizo Dini Shimba yang Flade Yimba Nangshin Lagirve. So she was thinking that it was more the Shimba or the butchers that are sort of like the classes of spirits here. Because butchers, who make their livelihood slaughtering beings, that it tends to be thought that then when they die they might take birth as like spirits, spirits like this. So the butchers, these butchers who are spirits, can take their time, eating, boom, got it. Like eat your fill, basically. So then the inner organs may be eaten by the jima. So jima, here it's this word which is just the Tibetan is given jima butong. Is ke tangbo tadja anin ta tang koran aka an ke koran dobo tan tadja ta tang ani mata ma bo se so der tong la. Yeah, so there's kind of so this is referring to sorcerers basically. So there are these by these sort of sorcerer spirits, or maybe those who were sorcerers who are then reborn as these beings or these spirits. And then it says the skin may be eaten by the nagas and the spirits of the earth. And she said this is significant because nagas, generally when there's like skin diseases, like rashes and diseases of the skin, they're usually associated with nagas, like the harm from nagas, or land spirits, like local deities of the land, that are particularly connected with the earth, with the land. So, and in particular nagas. So then it's significant that we're offering the skin in particular to the nagas, to the earth lords or earth spirits, and may those nagas and spirits of the earth be satisfied.
Moto sa ko do lo ni ching tap tin de tin chama sada de so control la ne tin moto la chano pa tan sang jog de ya de so ke yong gres.
So she spoke a little bit yesterday about she spoke a little bit yesterday about how, because we're like really abusing the earth, we're extracting the resources and cutting down all the trees and digging into the earth to extract precious stones and oil and substances, and just really overusing, or just abusing, then those beings are angry. The Nagas, the Earth Lords are angry, and they create, more disruption in the environment through like earthquakes. And so here's also kind of this practice to acknowledge this and to do some repair with some of these beings. Dini de alana riwache yore lapsong.
Yeah.
Did we intentionally skip over 16?
Oh, did we skip over 16?
Because there's all the demons.
We did, but we didn't go into each of those demons. We went through it. We just didn't go through them. Yeah.
And lot of some that subject, lot of time also could jimba tongue, look and la that did so the carriers, Mozola no bachi, so can give a sashani. So que the name Mala pa dewata, don't batan. And it's so que Purchewata, that you are Kakia Sangur, that a little and echo Kaya Jemius. Mage Sakamis, dig bat Kaya Chenyo miss, and it Murdonyo miss, Senyo me, Sangre. Kansana Mozo, Namba Sanjipani Yon is on there, Mozo Jiwa killing yore. Jiwa killing, Mozo Jiwa Toma mi ban Kareche Hako Mares. Then to Tata Mozo Tinyamni, Cheguea the Karesin, 6 Sokelin chassis, Katanga Shure. Say Charity Namiga Moto, Cheton name on Chares. And it dig down Natselin chassis, Pa Miller dig down the Vatic, Susan Nata Kelin chatting Nata Yungares. Control Senator in chassis, come up good charge up the ticket, Sosola Tatinsa Kamba Mipa, Lega Zargosana Lega Mara, Tindri Pango Mongoche. There's a time Lincha is that the two Lincha was a Julia put it Chelots and Tulots on my pay, putting Yamnichi, Miram Cheswana, and it is so Lincha to the time junk tagoris. They generate that is a pay calendar, shard, go Tart, the cancer, some of the attention. Yamnichi has in the pen, Yamni, Cheto, take it, Jerry, Mato. Changutoka rips share mato, only thanks about the shit to your Kale Caborishas. Kinds in a day. Joba jicking some good carison. Subtune mong my ba. Gosal toss on the Conquer carison, Moto Jingba Tanya, the Sayadan, and ni Tonya de Mato, Yamni Chiego Sondoa. Then the bed things up in Bajim City.
Yeah.
Gosal, to me, Katan to she some that.
So, Gary, do she sung Kaka
Java Tonga,
Kain Tessa Kaka sung Dangpo de Zawa Tongwa Chimba.
Batanya,
Dini Je Ngona Yana Zawa Chimba Niwa.
Java Tonga, Ching Tarva something.
Okay, so Zawa Tongwa Dang. Tong.
Kalasa, Chotong,
Okay.
Ching Tarva,
Okay.
then Pomala.
Lasso.
Tanya, the owner, the
Dini
need
Yamling Yomara.
Yeah. Malare la Nanje and Zukin the Chutin the Nang Kona Nang Sanje, Nub Kona Nub Sanje Song Head, they call Yamni Maje, or that Zukin Chu the Law, sorry, Nang Kona Nang Sanje, Gonka Kona Gonda Sanje has such a needed, and he called Sang Majere, the non-Turk Johnson at the Nick. Kange donga tani yongores. Ko nindera ta nga kama mangpo se tenche nga dikpa chembote. Dzogchen chu de shina nang kona nangka sangjeru gonda kona gonda sangjeru nindere. Tene marpa pe ka chu tang khamba mangpo tsai chi dripa taya che dere to.
So she says that, so, there are these, what we can understand also from is that through doing Chod practice, it's really powerful in its potential to really pay off our karmic debts, and purify and kind of turn our luck around, she was saying, because there are lots of circumstances that are like obstacles in our lives or difficult things that we don't understand why they're there, but they're very often rooted in residual karma from former lives, or karmic like debts that we have with beings that we might have harmed, in former lives. And so she spoke about this already quite a bit, how there are some who, for instance, their lifespan is cut short, and that, or they suddenly die, they die early, and that this is usually they said to be a residual karmic ripening of having killed other beings in former lives. Or there are some who, there's almost like they just can't seem to quite, they, no matter how much they try, they can't seem to like hold down a job or get a good job, or, and then they're impoverished. They don't, or many who are homeless, even though they're in like an affluent country, and they can't, and even though it may even seem in cases like it should be that they're the conditions that would enable them, to have a home and to, have a job, but it just, they, just have this bad luck in that way. And it's often because maybe they have residual karma of stealing, or being kind of dishonest and deceptive in business dealings, and not, having taken that which wasn't rightfully theirs, and so forth. And then there are many who just constantly suffer from illness, are sick all the time and can't seem to recover. And this is said to be often the residual karma of having actually been violent or abusive with others, having physically harmed others in former lives. So there's, in the practicing Chod, we, a lot of, here we're offering our blood, we're offering our body, our bones, our flesh, and with this visualization, with motivated by great love and compassion, and this is all part of what's also happening here, is that through this mental practice of generosity, we are paying off our karmic debts. We're really can purify an immense amount of residual karma. So Lord Jigten Sumgön, this falls into the category of his most profound teachings. It's part of the Zapchu, of Lord Jigten Sumgön's collected teachings. The Zapchu is the secret kind of section of the profound teachings, the most profound. And so he said, a very belonging, very profound practice of Kusali Chod. Kusali Chod being, that, again, she had mentioned before, it's really considered to be a high-level practice for real, ascetic practitioners who have, for instance, given up everything and just devote their life entirely to practice. So she mentioned before, they just engage in the 3 activities apart from practice of, and actually I realized I think she did say at one point, she categorized the 3 in a, and I translated them as eating, sleeping, and urinating and defecating, or as Keen nicely put it, bio breaks. But actually, she said now it's not, sleeping is not one of the 3. It's actually eating, drinking, and bio breaks, because the practitioner at that level doesn't really sleep. They're just in meditative absorption, and so there isn't actually sleep as we know sleep. So they're just those 3 activities. So this is really talking about a very high level of practice. And then when we got into this conversation, because I just wanted to clarify, so wait, sleep isn't one of the categories. And she said, and then she told the story of Milarepa, who, when he first sought out the Dharma, he was sent to a Dzogchen teacher who said, he said, my Dharma is very profound and you will attain Buddhahood. If you practice by day, you'll attain Buddhahood by day. If you practice by night, you'll attain Buddhahood by night. Just like basically, sleep. And he thought, sleep just even, he just doesn't do anything. He just is, looking at the nature of mind without really understanding what that is, in the daytime, and then sleeping at night, thinking that this was going to lead to his awakening. Especially, and in his case, she said, when he was coming from a situation where he had engaged in such heavy non-virtue, that of course that method wasn't going to work for him. So then when he went to Marpa, and Marpa really was very, very strict with him, very hard on him, and made him build those 9 towers and tear them down, all as a means, Marpa, through his great compassion, to purify Milarepa's negative karma, to help him purify his negative karma. And then he, did in fact purify all that negative karma and did, reach the state of awakening. And so, so in any case, she was saying the Kusali Chud is not for the faint-hearted, or it's not just something that's kind of casual. It's really the people who really practice this. It's a very profound level of practice, and the power and benefit is really immense. But it requires also really understanding it.
That Jimba la the Lushata Jimba on the Tondang the machine Noran Torayong. That you na Karason the Kazanti computer in Korea.
Care me guidance in a tune so me computer. Aka
Dorte Shogo.
Yeah.
Karason in a Junjo Nana. Lutan Tejin Lom Chutans. Lucin Susu Lura. Lom Chus in Giuseppe Amjul Kokora. Lutan Tejin Lom Chutans. That Giuseppe Amjur Kangba Karenari. Do some give us Sayu chance. They mount a top to some give a counsel of this. Simply going to tongues, simply tam chiton Hojoins Pampa Mipa Tower Chas, Pampas in Sinamipa. Tamjet down young in this, Tamjet into the Lutan Lomchu. That Joseph Panjus in Lu, Tata Jimba Tangara, Tedan, Tini Dema Tata to some Sahir gave a Savada, Tini Tamjet and Digit Tanjana, Sinami Patanjana. Any young in de Dorsey, young in de Dorsey. Young in de Depa Tamje, Chapjected, Simchi Namla Tamachos. Tini Suso Simchi Namla Tanjana, Suso Sanjeting Gompala Tomogosana. Top doors. Oh, not that. Didn't the Lulum to give it Savate, Jimba Tanjana, not Sanjay Gompana Top Mogosana Taburis. In Jimmy Simchi, Liana, Kajaka Sangre. Oh, Lulum to give it some Simchis at tongue. Around La Chin La Cum to take a rest. Simchi and those condon do they or Sama. They do. They're so there, and the Danzi Panya Kachi and the Mogoya is.
So there is this quote in the Bodhicharya Avatara that is kind of basically, or summarize the meaning is, it says essentially like, giving away one's body, one's wealth, all one's possessions, even including all of one's virtue accumulated in the 3 times. Whatever has been accumulated, releasing it all with a mind of generosity toward the welfare and benefit of sentient beings, without holding anything back, without any mind of miserliness, that when generosity when there is really the mind of giving or generosity that is consistently practiced, then the automatic result of that is awakening or Buddhahood. That even if one doesn't wish for awakening, that it is naturally just as cause and as the cause and result, that will lead to the fruition of awakening or enlightenment. So even when we really, with a mind of genuine love and compassion, we practice generosity in this way, that is automatically what is happening. It's leading us, to on the path to awakening. Even if one doesn't have the thought, oh, I want to attain Buddhahood, that through the virtue of the practice itself, that becomes the natural result. Because it is generosity is directly counteracting grasping, the mind of self-grasping, which is like the opposite. As long as there's self-grasping there, then there's no capacity to awaken or to realize our true nature. And if that grasping is counteracted, as it diminishes, the result is awakening to one's true nature.
Tene jimba tanya la tat la lu lom chu give tsawa jimba le tangpo ke tanya la kale kapo yores. Yena yan tinje ke tang sam ni tam sen ta jiram la ye te mi chang ye ma dor de che tang sam ni tang sam te je yu so na ta ta ngu se tong ma ta yin na tang go sam ni sem je yu so na ani ni ma ji la tanya ke jo je ra so na jimba tang gres. Ani te jimba tang wa te ke te ni sanje jeng gongpang toya ke jo se gres. Tangbo tang sem tsawa ni mi pa na teni soso le jimba tang ya ke jo ngpo che na tang thag ma res. So te tangbo tang sem che yo gres. De endu ta pen na da da rumbo che song yo nga tin rumbo che ke ka ke la ta nga cham ne yong gi si wa je kala ya da te so le yong gi si dor de pepa ta shin je te so la ta ka ke yang le ka za da ton yong thag ma re ka nge chen o ta tong yong tham te rumbo che song chi rang so ke yong go sam ya ko long de pe sem ba zang bo de jimba cha ro res chi rang chu go nam den zang nyo ya de chu zo le shin da ja ya chang ma de jimbu ngo wo la cha ro res de so chang ma ha ko so no ni ka le yo ma re de ma to ta chu zo si ni de ya o me chu zo ke ma ke shin da ja ne de chu zo de ka re sen dok sa khang ba ka la cha ro song de ni to de ma to ngo zo chi ka re la le khong chen bo dang de ni karela chongba chenbo ke je dinjen do mara den chuto ke changmo chuto member de so ke den ja don shin da ja den kalas ni shin da ja chu ke jimba dan de ya jimba konton do chu ke jimba dan me ke chu shen den mara yang ngo je ma de na kangba ke ro song dang ge mara ro song lo dan chu de so ding sang pe gong che bo de chama jimba konton ro res
Gare jimba
jimba konton
re yin yang jimba de la pena kangpa la
ro song te ta ya chama chi so lo ma te so ke ta hindab jab de ra te so kon ro song ta jimba konton ro res de chu so sa te so te ngo so ngone chi kare sa lama en da lo ma en da chung ke 제 총알아 삼정지 총에 치알아 그갑 제고야 뺏게 버렸어. 무슨래나 다 라그런 낭만 나시 파마 분자 나시 제질 제와 제지는 튼저 튼저 제 요소나 되는 것도 빼 집어요레스.
So she said, likewise, it said that, in the beginning, when maybe generosity is not so easy, we have to train in generosity. We have to train to develop the mind, the giving mind, the mind that wants to kind of release and give, to others. And so it might be difficult, but having the intention to give is like the first step. And that is, that in itself is a really important part in training the mind. So we incline the mind toward the desire to benefit, or the desire to give, even if we're not able to actually give. And then gradually that then develops into capacity. And so if, and also if we don't have a means, to practice, actual material generosity, there are so many other ways to incline the mind toward generosity and practice generosity that is, not just practicing material or financial generosity. And Garchen Rinpoche often says that, if, for instance, there are students, he says, that say, oh, I really want to come to Vajrakilaya, or I really want to come to Yamataka, but I can't, I have to work. And Rinpoche says, it's so wonderful that you even have the thought, I want to come. That in itself is like a form of generosity. And that everything, if one isn't able, for instance, to participate in the practice, and they give like an offering to support, for instance, the practice, the Drupchen, or anything, everything that is done to especially support like the Dharma Center, becomes really, the kind of highest form of generosity, because it's really generosity in Dharma. It's helping to make the Dharma available to people. And so, there are all of these expenses in our Dharma centers, like, electricity and water, and, sometimes having places for people to stay. And there's, being these Dharma organizations, there's not like a great kind of wealth, it's not like a business, where we're making a lot of money and that these things come easily, but it's really dependent upon the kindness and the generosity of the students, of the participants. And so, food, to help to feed like the lamas and the participants who, are there and so forth. This is really so precious, Rinpoche says. And so when, and it's like we're facilitating the environment for Dharma to be taught, for Dharma to be practiced. And so it's a really vast, any small act of generosity, especially in connection with the Dharma, becomes so vast in its benefit. And with students, and teachers kind of all together, also part of the practice of generosity is fostering harmony, and having an attitude of respect towards our teachers, towards one another, just like, younger people respecting their elders, and really treating one another like family. Then when we have that kind of generous attitude in community, it becomes really pleasant. The environment, the community of our like Dharma centers and Dharma sanghas or communities becomes a really, enjoyable and pleasant, for everyone.
That mambo she de na gonda. And it tinten dor de zanta jerta mambo she de mambo do de.
She said she's speaking too much. She's not going to finish the text. She says, we don't have a ton of time. So then, she's going off. She's going, what is the word? She's on tangents, yeah. And so she's not sticking with the text. Yeah.
Thank you. And it Shara Dhamma Tsampa is the Perna Shala Shateona, Per Dhamma Shala Bajagra, then Tsampahi, Per Lama Mibatang so Tama, Malapa Jimbatang is, Lama Mibantis, Machi Mochis in the Tate Pe Yare, Machimbo Janke, Machung Shong Janke, so Chipahi, Peri Dote, Tama chimbo ta chongcho janki na shike. Ani mangpo
Hey,
lemde.
kapardo, tongamado.
Tongumdo data chirang pecha tamdo.
De chudun.
Machi. Jipe kemo sharar teni ro sason.
De nga
Machi,
jama
machi.
de lu dang sada simgyur che.
De zon ro sason.
Re de draw tar
Jagu
tani
shala roba,
jago tala ro washin.
De zon ro tsare.
Draw tar yure.
Ro sason.
De nga chong ma shong.
Ale. Okay, ta chagu shala rowa shintini. Ten roba. Chagu shala rowa shinta. Chada gu da so. Penna shala. Chezo ka ha ko ni mar poni. Ta jimbari de. Me chondro ka sa chagu la shada teiri. De kare sa to ta ngo so ke shade mishi so na shade me de mera tan shana jimba kayan ro mares. Den du ngo so jada de so saya min rigan de jimba tan ka yores. Ni din na shi chagu perwana yi pe jopo chagu de pen jopo yore. Me shi ne de ro yana chama la yang gar. Din na shi chiba yin pulama me ban de shi chiransala chama lama sin tisa mala sarojis.
So then the next line is, eat them all without remains, like a vulture eating a dead body, eat them all without remains. So here, the example that's given is like a vulture, and this is referring to actually usually the way that Tibetans dispose of dead bodies in Tibet is in charnel grounds, not through cremation as much as through sky burials. So they actually offer the dead body to vultures, because the reason for this is that then the body becomes an object of generosity. It becomes a way to accumulate merit by practicing generosity, whereas and to benefit beings, because otherwise, if you just cremate the body, then there's no practice of generosity there. But when you feed the dead body to vultures, then even that very last, phase of one's life and death, where there's the corpse of one's body is offered in generosity, which has great benefit. So then when the vultures, who are the sky burial vultures, eat the dead body, they eat it very quickly, like all of the meat, gets taken from the body, and they eat thoroughly, without anything remaining. So this is the example that's given here.
Organ na lo te so jimba tang la so mishu ka sangati chimpa da lo te so merche la so te so pe ya por eso kudos.
So she heard that in America, and maybe another, she said in the West, that there's the option to offer your organs, to be an organ donor. So like, if you suddenly die and there are organs that then can be save somebody else's life, that you have the opportunity to offer your organs, which she thinks is really wonderful, that there's that. And that, for instance, becomes like our method of doing the same thing, using the body as a means to practice generosity. And so, and the motivation there is one of generosity.
Chod mangpo yong ni chon tongora pe mangpo ba yongora dina shi ge roba yi pulana ma me ban de yes ani singe khala roba yi singe de pe khal ga o sara ani pulama me ba chama jirang so cheis.
And so then it says, like the blackbirds rushing to the water, de yabokoma song de lama me ba mare chao nakchu chiu nakchu la ro
ben chiu de zo cho zawa ni mi wa na pe ya ya na cho zawa ni mi na de ni koran zo ka gong go re ni ma je de cho yu wang de cho ma bo je ko zo ka gong na cha pe ma bo ton ta ma ba yong go re ton o din na hi pe ri ta din na hi.
So the example here of like blackbirds rushing to the water is like if birds are maybe a type of blackbird like a crow or something is thirsty, if there's no water around and then suddenly there's like water becomes available, there's like a source of water, then all of the birds come rushing to the water because they're thirsty to drink the water. And so then this is the example that's given here, like these birds flocking to the water, eat them all without remains. And then the next example that's given is like a lion really vigorously eating flesh, eat them all without remains.
Sing it the line.
Lion.
Any shadow drama sabajita, pen a shadow rulan, tola dotajo, the dilla dramaka de jetindilla, any shape drama to the go or ten and I shake sapajit in a pulama, ma cheese in the ma chimbo junkie, ma chung junkie, did be ma ja depend you pora, then I see young chipaji, pulama me but the yes. Children do chiranzo lala gali nam lag course, dela gali nam de course.
So here, it's same type of thing, like flies on who swarm to rotting flesh. So just like flies that like to feed on rotting flesh or open wounds, and they swarm, the body or some rotten flesh. Eat them all without remains, like an army attacking enemies, or like troops, kind of the image here is quickly swarming, that of quickly swarming. So all these beings come here, eat, enjoy, partake, eat your fill. Those of you who are devas or gods of different, sort of these godly like demons, take whatever you desire. Those who are demons, take whatever you desire. All of you, whether big or small, behave in the same manner. Or let's see, do the kind of partake in the same way is what it's saying.
And it chechom me banya barji chiranso taperna chia ke chembo mangpo kondoya the chunga the chungshon kondo the demabe chiranso chikpa chichanjin nyampor chirojis taji mi patsanjaji taga tangtin doga chikpa karena chechom me pateni chiranso chamla na yitsamba tende charojis.
So it's saying being, there's some parts that are missing here, but it's like all of you equally, without kind of, particular or, one being more important or having more access than another. All of you equally come and eat and partake and be satisfied.
And it pays Jimandato, Nancy Lama says that. Jimasina penna kazange huimba Buddha jendo the hand of that's a Buddha the Dulan debit Tangma and it Nangisiba Tonga Tangna Matoma the last in the so and it general sina da Katang airline by Jiwala parte you the Nawala parte you parte mampoir the so da landed the sort of purchasing. Che the sunam la parche chinki there's a normal and it's zanki nyong deki then it so tiendon so cheso nyomeso then it jimezo jita ngaso suso te so jendo ketela then susu lede jimar na ji chirpa na ji then jimezo de pompo jetang ngoso jimezo de pompori ha kosona matapari ngozo takpa yo mari ta tren shon sane shon tren now so sane now keje sanje ke teni keje ngozo samdre o chirang samte nga khajang de tren ri do sam ne samde chirang de takpa tin sanje ke keje ngozo jo batam do ko de matapa jibu chijin ris ne chi meja towalas ta deri ndrechina guna sugucha so ke semde karesana ta obendo jeshana gondo siyana deni chama gaoyor ta ngozo semde deni pe control the ngaja chado ke tinje rimbo je song do chakpa na shi cha pe sem de tombo je cha danji chok kimbo je lep song na teni na cha de le yong go yore kangar de le yong go yore sem de open je cha song na teni je dan do de so jimba tang de chutam song de je so na teni je de do so kan so no ba kan ya che ta ko mares.
So
meta ya tawan rechinam gun suguchus chirang su gona korson so labdo o teso pe migpa ja chembore
so then it says pe and then kema, which is another, and that's missing from the translation. It's another one of these sort of expressions of sound that's just like a sound, an audible, a word that it's expressing kind of a sound. So it says, the assembly of gods and demons who've gathered here, those always craving for taking the lives of beings. So those who are usually, focused on, she said, as she mentioned, that there are these different beings and different kind of energies that create all sorts of obstacles for beings based on their, whatever those the karmic debts might be, or based on karma from the past. There those, who create obstacles to longevity, who create obstacles to merit, who create obstacles to good fortune. So all these obstacle creators are being summoned, and saying, please, eat, take your fill. And then this illusory body of the five aggregates is impermanent by nature. I don't care for it. Take it. Do with it what you wish. So here, the illusory body of the five aggregates. So first of all, we are, as she mentioned many times, there's this the nature of our visualization has this emphasis on that illusory aspect, that it's like, rainbow-like, in essence, empty of inherent existence. But she said the body itself is illusory. If we really understand the true nature of phenomena, then we know that all appearance is illusory in nature, and it is pervaded by impermanence. It is impermanent by nature. So even, there's, first of all, we have no idea, when we will die. We can die at any moment. One moment someone is alive, and then the next minute they're gone. But then there's also the constant expression of the moment by moment or momentary impermanence that is happening all the time, that with our coarse level of perception we can't even perceive. So she said, we just take things to be permanent because of our mistaken perception. So she said, I see her and I think she's the same person that I saw yesterday. And she said she sees me and thinks I'm the same person that she saw yesterday. But that's not the case, because moment by moment there is a constant unfolding of transformation and change, that everything is constantly changing, that there is no permanence, or there's nothing that can be pinpointed as, kind of a lasting quality. And so when we surrender to this impermanence and we kind of really open, the mind opens to that recognition of the illusory nature. And in general, when there's that mind of openness, she said, and this is what is sort of expressed by this line here, I don't care for it, or mitik tapa jukpa chuchin yin. It's not exactly in there, but have. No, that's an odd translation too. So I get basically like I'm not hanging on to this illusory body. I kind of am releasing it and giving it up, giving it to you basically to do with it as you wish. And so she said, when we have an open mind, then this is, very different from when our mind is closed. So when there's a mind, when, for instance, there's a mind of anger or pride or jealousy, the mind becomes narrow, it becomes small. Like Garchen Rinpoche says, it becomes like a solid block of ice. And it's when we have that closed mind that all difficulties come, that we have all suffering, all hardship, and illness, is very much also, what a result of having that kind of closed, small-minded nature. But when we are open, and here, like this absolute openness, then there's nothing that can harm us. Even the influence of, even the forces of these powerful demons can't do any harm when the mind is open in this way. And so here, we are in the visualization. We say, if the demons like it, you can take it. I completely release any attachment to this illusory physical form.
That Jechina Guna Serguchers, that the Guchiri, Guchi Zoda, that in the Pe Yaponyamni Yapoyor, Jen Droa Young Ludengos, Jen Droas in the Tan Droa, Gang Draw, Layadis. Compato non droya e simti sang malakogora de chideng zopo de lu lana da sere la
nyamne nyapo la kare sumyen di ko
tan nyamne guchi gupa zopo de kare jeng hu go gupa de kare res
ale okay
de china guna seguchur sonda da de guchi kare jin guchi zo kare rido Jen Droa Yon to Ludengos. That Jen Droa Yon, that the connoisseur, Karzeking over Karzegalila, Karzeking over, the Nimic Patin, Jimbatan, Marzeking over Marzek Jimbatan, the digit, that Kashi Kares Sere la Jen Mikpatin Jimbatan, Lu Layat, that Sek Katan Champachayadua, Hotel Lula. Oh, the Nipena, that de la. Deyore perna pa ma ngoso ko zo de pa ma re ani lama re de pa ma ro na de una de ni so ko chu tan ne meram che ne korang de ni sere la de ji ne sere la sam no ta de ji ne jimba che tan sha na korang na sa ke ta ngonne ke chel che ke zo de una ma to che ran ya da ne nywa de so che ta gres then lauda good in cheap ama luding or lauda. And there, Tirana. Or good in cheap ama luding or take a resin, tang so migram chin at the legend of theatre. Tang young good lama lopon luding horse. Tang or sola lama the lopon the so catching but touching boyore. Mozo tipena long tongue, manana and drodona, mixing kids over the lama chade. Then the lama the lopon chade. Then do then Liang lama the sola pen Jabding Garchen Bochin, the gono pechembori, and in young and over the ditch, so Kazawa lama saying at the so in the jar. Pinja in the Tropotomo and the Jarota and Chilada, Tropotomo, so not Tana, Della, Dini, the digit serage and some not on the corners in the Jimbachi Hosiana, they corrupt said Zo de Unamato, said Zo didn't was a tappy mele Parche the dunge de soina, and it is a parches and Natanya Serinia that the soyon togores.
So then it says, I offer. So if you demons like it, you can take it. So it's like here, this is a very high level of practice, of completely releasing and saying, to completely handing over your own body as kind of the most cherished thing. that and saying, those, for instance, those, whatever it is that you like, partake, may it become what it is that you wish for. So as she mentioned, there's some who prefer the white offering or the white feast, and then there are those who prefer the red feast, and so forth. So becoming whatever it is that is needed by and desired by these beings, then we imagine that it just fulfills them and they become satisfied. And so then, as it says, I offer it as ransom on behalf of all sentient beings. So she mentioned before this concept of ransom, that is also an element of what can be happening in the practice of Chod. That when there is somebody, for instance, especially somebody that we have a strong connection with, like our mother or our father, or relative who is ill, that then through this practice of Chod and practicing generosity with the body, then that can be kind of a form of ransom or exchange, to satisfy these beings who are, the sources of karmic debt, who are creating illness, and then to clear away that obstacle of illness for those beings, and to when there's obstacles to lifespan, to, for instance, extend their lifespan. And then it also, as it says, particularly, and this is here it mentions, particularly on behalf of my kind father or mother, and all sentient beings, and especially as a ransom on behalf of my spiritual teacher and spiritual friends. So also for lamas and teachers, or someone like, for instance, this is very important, like Garchen Rinpoche, who is now, more advanced in age. He's becoming older, and so these practices such as this can have great benefit in extending the lifespan of our spiritual teachers and spiritual friends, disciples, and attendants. By the merit of offering my body, may you be pleased and satisfied. Mm-hmm.
Any core ring nam chelu de ngostan core sin sosola ta karela ta penja lananda soso glomanda lananda lopto in the kare in ta tendejin na cha yongna tendejin ho chores and lu shatan chuji de ngobesta soso ka lu shatan de so ya jimba tang hu shanjo de kinapa ga ye ngojin de chimjer jes pe chimlan dan Drikung Samtenling. Tene hunche khowa thoma me ta jewa thoma me pa ne blong len cha ta perna che melone jose chala kare ya shona te so len cha yura te sawar khos shanku drpa tanje je shanku lan ta mek che no pa char dopo che tang te phal no len su ma so sam khorde de atela shanku la gore
Shakun kemsa de la shedang la yorwa.
nya ta shedang da ore shanku je je mare chirang ton shedang da ore per na chirang ngala shedang lang suna shedang lang che jesna nga chirang le shedang lang ta te
Resentments, I think.
kare
Yeah.
shedang te la gonda me pa
Yeah.
ya tin da ore mo shanku la gore mo tin da yu pa ta tene no sam dog sam sin chirang la pa no pa tan ya de tene dog sam sin chik chab la sha de so changma ta lemde me yong gora le jimde me de o de so dan sam chok sam se char dan wa che wa da pan chok pa ja ya da so tam che changma shyo ne sancho sam da danger ches tene sancho sam da din la na me ba sanje jing go pa la to par shos.
So then it says, so disciples and attendants here, or we could say, like actually, it's more like just like retinue and community could be like those who are around one, all of the kind of different people with whom you have connections by the merit of offering my body, may you be pleased and satisfied. So when someone is satisfied, then that's it. They don't need anything else. And so whatever other kind of like needs or harmful intentions may have been there have now been pacified because they are satisfied, and there's no longer any need to, seek anything else. So may all the debts from beginningless past lives be cleared away, and thereby pacifying all kinds of hatred arising from this. So the word here it's sort of like hatred, but also like resentments. So may all kind of, past karmic lack of, whatever it is that is unresolved, that is problematic, that is a source of harm, that is, kind of still there, residual or lingering resentments from, former beings with whom we share, karmic troublesome karma from the past, that through all of this, or through this, may all of those be pacified. May all harmful thoughts be pacified. May all kinds of quarrelsome thoughts, so all kinds of quarreling and disputes and harsh words and so forth be pacified, and may there be bodhicitta. So may you, all of these beings, may they give rise to bodhicitta, and having developed bodhicitta, may they be placed in the state of completely perfected awakening, or the enlightenment of Buddhahood.
나서 되니 다 짐바 자친 저번에 뜻이다. 어서 그 짐바가 당대에 짐반데 털어티네 로와 심지 탐제 람송 사제 정공방로 토발쇼스 되니 뭐지 자와 남제 마더스 뭐지 사제 좀 된데 자와 남제 저 마털레데 정어서 그 루지 짐바 땅네 저와쇼스 지오 촌의 짐베 존재체니 지오 촌의 탐제 촌은 빼먹버려라 그래서 짐바 그 존재체스
Garila?
Jimba Jachi Japan Dayantis. So que Jimba Tang Tamba Train Yamnit in the Jimba Tanjava so, then Talatine, and then Roa Simjin Tamje, and it's Sanjay and Compana Sanjava horse, Sanjay and Compana Topa horse. Then Moon Sanjay Jomdin Deke, then 심지 타지 마더원 코완 마더 더 마털리데서 무초가 따다 르샤타게 짐바탄의 야제와데게 디치베도 참마 짐바게 코란소 디니 사제 정고판로 톱네 조와리호스 지브촌의 짐베 존재 지브진다 마창마 고거를 지워 디니 촌노스는 마보 고거를 짐바데게 디니 코란소 조와리호스.
So then we have the final dedication and conclusion where it says, by the power, through the merit of this great offering of the body, through the power, through the merit of practicing this really extreme form of generosity, may I attain Buddhahood, may I attain Buddhahood among the sentient beings. So it's more like, may I and all beings droa nangne rangjung droa nangne the young integral
jimpa tangdel deke ja chimbo deke din tolatine ta jimpa tangdel tolatine moso ke mageva sa del may geva sa del din tolatine droa simji tamche ne Sanjay nang nisita roa simchi tamche any jiv tamba umpar changjava Sanjay jengopana top show lagarda.
Yeah, so it's written in an interesting way. It's kind of an interesting construction in Tibetan, but it's not actually like may I among all the sentient beings attain enlightenment, but it's actually more like, may all sentient beings attain enlightenment, right? So and Rangjung Sandre is, so they here they the wrong, which means I, that was translated here, or self, was translated here, I think, as I, but it's more like the self-arisen Buddhahood. Like may all beings, may they reach this state of self-arisen Buddhahood. Roa yini ang nang ne tes kinsarwa.
Deni te karesin jiu tamba tamje deni ngumpar changja sina karese sanje jing gopang la tawlar. Sangla na karese ni mumpa sangwen sang shizir driba tamje kong de chupa na chubla wari jatanga drasela. Ani dirzo changja lan sanje jing gopang tawba. O dendela.
And then thereby liberating this beings in the samsara which have not been liberated by, or the beings in samsara which have not been liberated by the Buddhas of the past. So actually, this is referring to, may all beings reach the state of Buddhahood, and through this, like those beings who are who in the past or who have not yet been liberated, or maybe like on the path to liberation, but they haven't quite, achieved liberation yet, or haven't been liberated by the Buddhas of the past, through this practice of generosity which I have performed here, may they finally be brought to the state of full awakening. And so she was discussing, the meaning of this word, like both the word sanje and jangchup. So these are these compound words, sang meaning like by purifying. So there's this process of purification by which the two types of obscuration, the obscurations of afflictive emotions and the cognitive obscurations, are cleared away. And je, which means like the blossoming or the full development of all the enlightened qualities. And then jangchup also means very much the same thing. Jang, which is translated as awakening, or sometimes, Jangchup Sem, for instance, is bodhicitta. So Jang means purifying, is referring to the purification, that purification aspect of awakening, which is, purifying the two types of defilements, and the gathering of the accumulations part of awakening, which is what the chup, or in the sanje, the je, is referring to, which is the development or the gathering of all of the qualities of all the accumulations. So here it's, the aspiration for all beings to progress on that path of the inner development of purifying the two obscurations and gathering the two accumulations and reaching the state of fully perfected Buddhahood. So sorry, we've gone a little bit over, but actually did tata rawa.
Dutu semdo.
Dutu semdo. Did tata dutu tata jungso.
Okay. Chiransula jiwa ona gama kasheje.
Oh.
Dini taken yamara. Ina nyugo jam tigre.
So we can conclude here for lunch, and then and break for lunch, and then in the afternoon we can also make sure that we have some time for question and answer. So if you have some questions, please hang on to them and bring them back with you when we resume after lunch.
Okay, the bouquet 26. Yeah. So the Kongso big nimbo yoroachi umsechina. Tibet is all the Nika tampo bouquet in English. I said we love her chanting, so we would love her to chant it in Tibetan. Yada barzo basan joran boche to barjurje
By the power of the merit I have accumulated, the power of the merit and samsara and nirvana in the 3 times, and by the power of the primordial merit of Buddhahood, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the perfect enlightenment state of Buddhahood. By the merit I have accumulated, may I overcome all erroneous attitudes and reach the omniscient state. May all sentient beings who are suffering in the waves of birth, old age, illness, and death be freed from the ocean of samsara. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise; where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher.
Thank you. Dankeschön. Dankeschön.
So we will return here at 2. Chitsu nipa tsur leya yorwa.
Oh, so right now she just started singing the melody for the Rainbow Body Chip. Maybe she can demonstrate for us in the afternoon. It's a beautiful melody too.
Thank you. Dan Sheila
Everyone enjoy lunch.
Enjoy lunch. Enjoy practice. Okay,